Welcome to Courageous Conversations with Therese W. Gamble, powered by Concierge Resource Professional Consultants. Courageous Conversations is a diversity, equality, and inclusion initiative. It's a gracious space for meaningful discussions about culture, life, business, work, learn, live, worship, and play. It's an audio encyclopedia designed to bridge cultures and generational gaps through active listening and action-oriented changes towards liberation for all. Are you looking for brand exposure? Join our sponsorship network for amazing benefits and perks. It's brand awareness at its best. Do you have a new product, service, or event that you want to promote? Email us at info@crpcnow.com.
Greetings, everyone. This is Therese W. Gamble, your host. Today we have an amazing speaker that I have known for a short time, but she is full of wealth of knowledge. And we are having a storytelling moment with Mrs. Thomasena N Gadson, the CEO and founder of a positive influence for strong women. Welcome, Thomasena.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So if you would be so kind to introduce to our listening and viewing audience, who is Thomasena Gadson, what is positive influence for strong women, and how do you provide value to strong women?
Sure. Well, Thomasena Gadson obviously is me, the owner of Positive Influence Movement. I've been doing this for going on 8 years, starting out as a empowerment movement and skill sharing and resource sharing outlet to just uplift women in a way where we could all connect and all understand the options and things that are out here available to us, that we're not always taught, that we're not always educated on, and that we may actually be living life each day by someone right beside us that may have the gifts and the tools necessary to move us forward. So I created the organization 8 years ago as a free outlet. And then 2 years ago, I turned it into a business so that I can be able to fully benefit women through additional resources that I could provide. And as you said, I have a background in banking and finance and stocks and 401k. I currently have a background in Internal Revenue Service. However, that's something that I do separate, but I do have those knowledge bases. I have a degree from a historically Black college, which is Edward Waters College. And so that embraced the culture aspect. I also am very familiar and an advocate for mental health. And so that in itself also opens my mind in a way I think that some people may not ever understand, and that allows me to see a window towards people and to embrace them in empathy and understanding.
That is amazing. So today we're going to talk about life. Thomasena, share with us and our listeners and our viewers some best practices or some life strategies, maybe from your personal or professional experiences.
Sure. So I know this is not going to be a very long interview. However, there are some real key things that we all should pay attention to. The one thing is going to be self-care. You can't be an individual. You can't run a business. You cannot mentor other people. You cannot do all the things that come with life if you're not taking care of yourself. And definitely as a woman advocate and in mental health, I know that women are specifically tasked with a million things. Okay. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to start delegating, not feeling the need to take on every single thing that comes to our mind. Because it's just in us. God did create us to be that way, to be nurturing and caring. But he also created us with a mind to seek out other individuals that can also as you do all the time. You reach out to other people, Teresa, and you actually reach out and see what they have to offer and how does that benefit other people? How does that connect with you? And we have to learn how to do that as individuals, because it can wear on you mentally, physically, and emotionally when you're trying to take on everything by yourself. That's one of the very key things I'd like to speak about. Never feeling like that you shouldn't do things for yourself. You know what I mean? Like taking time out to actually not just say you're going to take care of yourself, but take those moments to, whether it has to deal with financial ability to do things or just walking on the beach, taking a ride, get your mind off of things. It's okay to take a step back. That doesn't make you a bad person because you're not doing everything, right? That's one of the things I watched on my own and had to do for myself. And sometimes it even takes for you to talk to someone that's not in your family, that's not a friend, someone that can't be biased, someone that has no idea other than, hey, they need a hand, they need a shoulder. So self-care is going to be primary. I would say, there's such thing as skill sharing, where you look at what somebody else does and they call it best practices also. And then you say, you know what, I've been doing this way, but I've also found another way to handle this. So you may not have to delegate, but you may find a easier way to get certain tasks done, which frees up more time for you to be able to relax. I'm going to keep going back to relax because it means so much more than we sometimes understand. And one of the biggest things I want to talk about is tolerance, right? And capacity. Sometimes we're in environments where we're so used to a certain level of go, right? Or a certain level of things that impact us that we don't even understand that we're being impacted. We don't even understand how much we're going until we can't go, or till someone else says, oh my God, you're doing all of those things. They couldn't even comprehend doing any of those things because they've never really had to, or because they've delegated it to someone else to do. And so in their mind, they can't even begin to understand how you ever said you accomplished or did certain things. And so when you start understanding your level may be up here of what you're able to tolerate compared to someone's level that's right here, and it's okay to bring it down here too. Because just because your capacity level is more doesn't mean you have to take it all in. You just bring it down here. And then when you need to go up here, you go up here, right?
Right.
So again, all of those, I gave those three main things because they are very beneficial to your well-being and your health.
Wow, that's amazing. So self-care, let me get the point. Self-care. I know tolerance is one of them. I know I'm missing one.
Tolerance, capacity,
and delegation. Now, all those things that how have you applied those? Again, you give us an example of how you have applied those for yourself?
I've actually, sometimes I go and I'll take a course, so that it tells me ways to let go of all the things I'm doing. So it'll give me alternatives, even when it comes to marketing with business, right? We'll put a lot of energy in trying to, put ourselves out there. And there's so many tricks, you know what I mean? To really, it's a formula. I won't call it a trick, but it's a formula. So there's so many different ways to just kind of trick the system so that you're not putting so much energy and time out here, when really all you have to do maybe is take a quick class. Sometimes the class that you think isn't good for you actually has every single thing that you need without even being specific to your trade, right? So for example, I went to an event. It was related to health, not mental health, not business health. It was related to like nutrition. Mm-hmm. But it told the members or the potential members how to use a target market, how to use advertisement. And it's it works across the board, no matter what kind of business you're doing. So I invested in myself. Again, another method of self-care. Invested in myself because I know long term that's going to actually benefit me in my own life and in business. And sometimes people say, I know even in our culture, sometimes we're told, not to go speak to a psychiatrist or anybody. I mean, psychiatrists see psychiatrists. You know what I mean?
Right.
And people don't often think about that. I mean, doctors see doctors. There are people that are in finance that have a financial consultant. So don't ever look at things as a negative, especially if it's going to fix your problem. And I've spoken to other people for life coaching. I've also had people that are in life coaching speak to me on how to do certain things. So those are some of the examples.
That's good. That's good information to share. And I understand that you empower women. You talk about one life strategies on self-care, knowing your capacity, learning how to delegate. And that is something, vital, not just for women, but for men. Sometimes we have a hard time delegating because you feel like no one can do it better than you or like you. But that's where, you have to trust, vet the right person and trust the right team members in order to accomplish that, even with family.
Right.
So you mentioned about self-care and more on professional development level, but what about on a personal level when you especially during this pandemic, juggling family, juggling children with homeschool, college students who had to go to college during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
What tips and suggestions or experiences you've had during this pandemic that you would like to share?
I can give a really good a couple actually.
Okay.
I have an adult daughter. I have a high school son. I have a middle school daughter. And my daughter was working. My oldest daughter was working in a brick and mortar, and they shut down. And so she was at home for a while, right? And then my two kids that are in public school, they were at home doing virtual school. Well, the job I work for during the day, they shut down during the pandemic. And so we were all at home. And so having to actually increase costs for certain things that you didn't anticipate, now you're having to cook more or order food or whatever the case may be. You got to do more grocery shopping. So now you need to figure out how to balance out your budget. The utilities, went up. Some things balanced out because it wasn't as much driving, so some of the ways I would have received income for what I do on my job every day, that was gone because I'm no longer riding out in the field, taking the time away to actually try to help my kids with their homework, actually re-educating myself in areas that I haven't had to look at in 20 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Actually understanding that the teachers were also overwhelmed. And so some things that they were used to doing, they had to now learn online. And so it was really about stepping into the shoes of not only the teachers, the principals, my coworkers. My job, I've almost always worked from home. So that was not a new challenge. However, having my kids here doing their homework, needing to get onto certain software programs, the internet crashing every hour on the hour, whether it be me or them. That was a lot to try to juggle. And then knowing that you're still required to be on the system doing your work when your child may need your help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe two of them may need your help. Or maybe my oldest daughter that was here trying to make sure her unemployment was taken care of needed to understand how that system worked, right? And so that was a lot of personal experience for me. And it did become very overwhelming. And what I did was I started to reach out to local resources, the library, the public library, right? Mm-hmm. The public library actually offers free tutoring, which a lot of people don't know about. They also not only offer tutoring, but they had online resources to books, encyclopedias for free. Comcast, which is something we had, so I didn't have to go and get it, but they were offering programs for Duval County students that were free. And a lot of parents were suffering with that expense of trying to figure out, how I'm going to add this on. They had laptops. We had laptops, but some of the things that were required, like the systems and programs, maybe two of the computers here had it and maybe one didn't, right? So just learning what resources were available, tapping into other people that had access to resources, and sharing every resource that I learned about with other parents was like a key thing for me. And then with my oldest daughter being here, she was able to help out my younger kids in areas where I may need to be refreshed, right?
Right.
So, it all worked out really well, and that is definitely an experience I can talk about.
That's amazing. And we will make sure you can be able to come back and share those nuggets, because I'm quite sure, even though we're not out of the woods yet with the pandemic, and some states and some counties and some districts are doing things different, they trying to become consistent. These parents need to be aware of the resources as well as their children, and some teachers where they can be able to help the children that's learning remotely to be successful, even though they're not in the brick and mortar classroom. So I want to take this time before we go, Thomasena, is there any final thoughts or any advice of how you need help, or what you would like people to know, and how to contact to reach you for speaking engagements and opportunities before we leave today?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things I want to say is, this is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and people are silently facing traumatic events. They are stressed. They are depressed. There's an organization, NAMI, there's an organization in Florida, and in Jacksonville, in each county, and it's actually a national organization. So I would say NAMI, to go on and search that through Google, and just verify how you can receive services, because they are free. They're for family, they're for friends, they're for individuals that are suffering. I also am an instructor there, and so I do reach out to try to join the schools in a method to help educate everyone about how to get help. If you go to my website, which is www.positiveinfluence.me, there is a page that's full of free resources for the VA, for loans, for probably every single aspect of government that you can think of. And it will link you directly to their page to see the resources. You can book through my page for a consultation. You can also join a workshop. You can reach me at 904-652-5117. All my information will be on the website, so just be sure to reach out to that. Right now, I am currently for profit. However, I have a lot of resources that are for free. So just reach out, and I do multiple things. You'll see that there, financial literacy. I also share information about how to get property through tax deed sales, as well as through lands available. Those are free items that are available to the public, that can take you from no assets of ownership, from $1,000 property deed, payment for a property that's worth $100,000. It's a no-brainer, and it's areas that we're not being taught about in our communities. So feel free to reach out. I appreciate you so much, Therese, for bringing me on. As you always take care and look out for me. So you guys be blessed.
You've been listening to Courageous Conversations with Therese W. Gamble. Courageous Conversations is powered by Concierge Resource Professional Consultants. Would you like to be a guest and have your stories, lessons, and best practices be captured in our audio encyclopedia? We're currently reviewing applications for future guests to join us, and we're especially interested in creating space for long-standing or multi-generational Black-owned businesses. For more information and to be considered, please email info@crpcnow.com to request an application. And remember, do not get weary in well-doing. You shall reap if you faint not. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9.